v.h.s.x? What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're reacting and having a discussion about a video from QuietKills titled DBD has a huge problem. So I'm curious to hear what we're pretty much talking about today. Which is, right off the bat it says gaslighting, so I already know we're gonna be in for a doozy. I have to say it's gonna be pretty hilarious. I can only imagine that we're gonna be in for something pretty insane.
Gaslighting is a subtle yet insidious form of dismissal. It's a
wait. They didn't wait, hold on. Right off the bat, kill switch is not a fix. What? Bro. Don't tell me the dev said this, dog. Hold on. We barely just started and I'm already about to crash out. Like, that's absolutely insane. What? Wait, hold on. This raises so many like issues that at once, like, it's actually frustrating. It's actually diabolically insane. Like, I can't even imagine. A dev team is out here saying a kill switch is not a fix. Like, it's so tone deaf. Like, the whole purpose of us begging for a kill switch was so that the issue does not persist in the live game. That is the point. Why? Like, why? I don't understand why. Why is this happening? For crying out loud.
dismissal. It's a method of psychological manipulation in which one person makes another doubt their
Streetwise does not meet kill switch criteria. This much worse, but oh my god.
reality, memory, or judgment through denial, blame shifting, or the downplaying of a situation. And Dead by Daylight has a big gaslighting problem. Look, it's no secret that DBD easily has one of the most frustrating communities to deal with in all of gaming. Trying to discuss balance with a DBD player is like trying to discuss quantum physics with a fucking newborn. Behavior
No, I 100% agree with QuietKills on that. The amount of disgustingly, irritatingly, mind-numbingly dumb-ass takes that we've actually heard from the DBD community is absolutely freaking insane. There are people that play this game that genuinely believe that survivors need invincibility frames while going through windows, and they truly believe in their minds, some players, that they need, for some reason, need an exploit that can allow them to complete gens at triple the speed when it's already a problem with the game's balancing. There are players out there that genuinely believe that things need to be broken in order for it to be remotely playable, which says a lot more about them, and it says a lot more about the balancing of the game than it does about the killer players as a whole, which they choose to villainize time and time again. This is the same community that has a very strange morality basis about playing a video game. This is the same community that has this very odd outlook on how the game should be. And there's a complete divide amongst all the players, especially when it comes to MMR levels, that everybody has a unique take on how they played the game and how they experienced the game, that everybody's got a confusing, like, sort of perspective that no one else understands at this point. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't understand. I don't even know where to begin when it comes to something like this, because there's so much to talk about.
add a new perk to the game that immediately ends the match, explodes their opponent's PC, sets their dog on fire, and doxes them. And the player base will still tell you, womp womp, skill issue, you're garbage, co-parter. Today I'm going to be discussing DBD's gaslighting problem and how discussions of balance and issues within the game are nearly impossible to have these days, and why I believe it's single-handedly destroying the very balance of the game itself. Let me start by showing you guys a singular tweet that perfectly encapsulates Dead by Daylight discourse in a nutshell. So DBD's newest update just dropped, and it was released with so many game-breaking bugs and issues that the game was left essentially unplayable. And a big problem and point of contention is that most of these bugs and other issues negatively impacted killers far more than they did survivors, such as infinite charges on items with the Streetwise bug, infinite vaults on windows with the no chase bug, a myriad of debilitating killer bugs, and so on. For killers, if just one of these bugs was present in your match, it will likely negatively impact the outcome of your entire match. And this kind of created this lopsided feeling where people who mostly play killer felt the game was totally unplayable, and people who mostly play survivor thought that everyone that just plays killer is overreacting.
This is exactly what I've been talking about on this channel time and time again. I have been discussing that exact topic of the massive disconnect from the survivor side and the killer side respectively. There is such a massive disconnect for what survivors have to experience, what killers have to actually do to play effectively. And it's even within just the language of when they talk about their experiences when playing the game. They're constantly using tactics and strategies and things like that are used to play strategically in order to actually win their game as some way to villainize the killer players, such as tunneling or camping or, you know, slugging or whatever have you. They've come up with these terms to describe these things, and then they proceed to villainize the players for just playing the game strategically when they are the same players that are also doing the same thing by running into the corners of the map so that it's harder to get hooked. They will actively use an emote to cancel out their animation under pallets so that they can fall perfectly in that pallet so that they can get a potential pallet save. These are the same survivors that are bringing gen focused perks or second chance perks such as dead hard, decisive, off the record, and other things so that they cannot get downed again and again. Or if they get slugged, they also bring unbreakable. These are the same survivors that are playing strategically at the same time while pointing fingers at the other side for trying to do the same. And it's incredible to me because you also see the same type of players that will load up one single killer match every 2 years and then sit there and say, wow, killer is so easy, when they forget that MMR exists. I don't understand it. And I've made the claim before that the survivor side has been objectively the much easier side to play, and for some reason it still caused an uproar amongst the survivor community. They truly cannot believe that that's the case when it's objectively true. It really kind of blows my mind because a lot of survivor players will say that there is a lot to learn. When you see what survivors are using, they're not even taking the time out to actually learn how to loop like the tiles or try to counter anything. They are quite literally just shift W, pre-dropping and running away. And because of the map design, because of the pallet amount, right, they can constantly keep chaining to the next one. They don't actually have to stop and actually play their game, and Kennedy is just a result of that.
Leads me to this exchange here, which took place before Behavior fixed any of the bugs the chapter released with, where the OP is saying they're taking a break from the game due to the insane amount of bugs. And so this person responds saying, I know there are some bugs, but the game is not unplayable at all. Y'all are overreacting. And it has over 4,000 likes.
That right there is exactly what I was talking about, exactly what I'm referring to when I'm talking about these players. They only play Survivor. Their side is never broken. Their side is constantly just thriving, you know? And honestly, I don't even think there's been a broken like survivor bug that affects the way like their gameplay at all for years. I don't think there has been a game-breaking bug that completely like ruins their experience. Honestly, I mean, to this day, I don't even think we've had one. But on Killer, there has been a constant new bug every other week, preventing your character from being used, an audio problem, making it impossible to catch people, making it impossible to see them. People turn it like, I mean, there is that one issue we saw with Springtrap that he turned invisible, I guess, for like 2 seconds. But even then, that really didn't matter because that got killed. That the issue was kill switched. But yet, notice the laundry list of killer problems that we're seeing that cause all these issues. And it's crazy how tone deaf and absolutely like blind these people are to the absolute severity, when we can literally show them footage of the thing occurring and they will blindly sit there and say, oh, that must just be on your end because I don't see that as a problem. It's like, do you not see, like we've even seen this in the fog vial video that I had talked about, where I literally showed my own footage when I dropped my own video talking about it. I even showed QuietKills on his own video showing that we, like, as a killer player, we're being absolutely blinded by these fog vials before the actual nerf went through. We cannot even see 2 inches in front of us. Oh, but it just must be your monitor. It must be just you. It can't be that. It's not possible that the game could possibly be broken for you. Come on now. It's ridiculous to me that people can actually sit here and look at evidence, which they obviously don't. You know, why would they? They close their eyes and plug their ears the second you speak anything with facts.
So then this person here asks, have you touched killer? And they respond saying, actually, I'm a survivor main, so I don't know about any bugs on the killer side.
Thank you. So I'm glad that we have evidence right here. Actually, quote, actually, I'm a survivor main, so I don't know about any bugs on the killer side. So then what gives you the right to display something so confidently wrong is beyond my comprehension.
But just wait, it gets worse. This person here quotes them saying some bugs, then links them a thread listing the ass load of bugs the new update released with. To which they respond saying, my bad, I didn't know about these, lol.
Yeah, they never do. They never do. They sit there and spit out a garbage take that has no basis in reality, have absolutely no evidence, nothing at all besides, oh, I didn't see it with my own eyes because I chose not to, so therefore you're wrong. It's like, do you not see the actual video footage we're putting in front of you? We're not even like telling you it and it's just theory. We're showing you video clips of these issues occurring and they're still trying to deny its existence. It's crazy, but that's okay. We at least have someone who acknowledges it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Do y'all remember the good old days where if you didn't know what you were talking about, the natural course of action was to just shut the fuck up? Imagine publicly dismissing people and telling them they're overreacting to an issue that you've made zero effort to even inform yourself on in the first place. This is the textbook definition of gaslighting and just talking out of your ass.
Thank you, QuietKills, for once again giving us exactly what I was talking about as well, literally. And it's absolutely insane. I really don't get it. It's absolutely diabolical and mind freaking boggling that we have people that are actively ignoring the issues with this game to sit there and say that not only is the game killer sided, mind you, when there's 100,000 bugs on the killer side, but then but Survivor's completely playable and also have no problems and also are getting items that can completely blind people. And on top of that, adds all these incredible, you know, accessibility problems for people with sight. And then on top of that, also having an exploit that completely breaks the game and it never gets kill switched until the very, very, very last minute before it completely gets patched out. But, you know, apparently the game is killer sided, right? When there has, you would think, you know, you would think if it was, there would be changes coming through for the killer side. You would think that they would actually give good perk changes. You would think they would actually have buffs coming every other damn day, but there isn't. We don't, like, we're getting a nerf every other patch for the for a myriad of killers, or we're getting a perk change that really didn't even need to go through. We're getting a survivor perk buffs that were on perks that weren't even bad. Like, come on now. And I'm not trying to create an us versus them conversation. I'm really not, because that's not the purpose of this, and that's not the purpose of me bringing up these topics, because I know a lot of people misconstrue that. I'm bringing up these topics because it needs to be discussed. Like, we need to point out like the absolute like double standard we got going on when it comes down to changes in development for some reason like that. And as a whole, the problem with the kill switching as well, because kill switching would have been the solution for a lot of problems that this game would have had, and if they only just flip the switch and get the kill switch going to at least prevent the wildfire from spreading, because that's the main purpose that I've spoke about, especially when talking about kill switching, is they need to use it more liberally. They need to really spread it around a lot more, instead of just doing a dollop with Daisy with that damn thing. They gotta like really drop it on there a couple more times so that we can actually prevent damage from furthering through the game. That's my main point of talking about kill switches, and why I even brought up that point in a different video. It's like, if they were to just put it in quicker, put in the kill switches quicker, we won't have more people complaining and more people discovering what the problem was. We can at least sit back and say, hey, the devs care enough to stop this from actually occurring, or at least notice, hey, there's a problem, we have to stop it before it gets worse. But they don't do that.
Practice of being totally dismissive about valid issues and immediately downplaying and deflecting criticism and telling people that they're just overreacting about real problems is a common one within the community. And I want you to pay close attention here, because you are about to notice a pattern. Let's talk about a brand new perk just added with the new chapter called Conviction, which is easily one of the strongest survivor perks in the whole entire game right now. After being left on the ground for just a few seconds, survivors can just pick themselves up and run away for 30 seconds until they automatically go back down. But when synergized with other perks like Boon, Exponential, Soul Guard, and Unbreakable, you can pick yourself up in about 3 seconds and have endurance for 8 seconds, and then once you go back down, you can just pick yourself right back up and do it again and again and again. Let's see it in action.
Ooh, okay. Well, I was expecting to go down here, but... Yeah? That's perfect! That's literally perfect! By the time he vaults, I'm already up! Yeah, I'm up! That's so stupid!
The fact that a perk like this even...
So, you already know we're going to get a couple of incredibly biased survivor players that are going to try to defend something this ridiculous. And I don't know what else to say to that. I mean, if you can sit there and say something this broken could exist, I have no idea. Honestly, I really don't know. I mean, like, if I can even conjure up a killer equivalent, honestly, this would be... Honestly, man, I mean, how bad can we make this, right? What's funny is that if there was a perk that did something similar on Killer where, for whatever reason, you get downed and okay, if there was a killer equivalent to something like this, I would say the best example would be like if there was a perk that allowed a killer to basically pull you backwards from a window after you vault, and then they do it again. Like they have some kind of power where you're able to, like, if they had a power where they could rewind time and bring you backwards out of a window or something like that, and then take a hit, and then you vault over, and then you get pulled backwards again, and then instantly down or something like that, I think people would crash out. I think there would be a lot of survivors that would completely crash out and say that's incredibly broken and stuff like that. But no. Honestly, I can't even imagine what a killer equivalent for something this broken would be, because this is just ridiculous. Like, you spent all this time and energy downing a survivor just for them to instantaneously get up, and you can't even down them again until after 8 seconds because of the perk selection. And then you have to down them again, and then you have to pick them up, and then you have to hook them, which, mind you, if you just down them, they'll probably just pick themselves up again. So then they're just unkillable. So I don't know. Okay, well, what if there was like a blood favor, right? But it also works on windows, and it also spreads around the entire map. And anytime you're in chase, you can't vault anything and you can't drop any pallets, so you just constantly just keep getting downed. And it just lasts for like 60 seconds every time you hit someone. And then it doesn't go on cooldown, you just get hit and then it resets for another 60 seconds. So that every time he gets a hit, it just constantly keeps every single window and pallet blocked. I think that would be completely asinine and ridiculous for a killer to have. And you can imagine that something like that would get immediately patched pretty much the next day. You know what I mean? It will get kill switched and immediately patched the next day. But survivors have this insane like sort of idea where they can get up and then go down and then get up again and then go down and then get up again as much as they want, and there's just no cooldown that's perfectly balanced. Yeah, right. Like, sure.
made it past the PTB is genuinely dumbfounding, as anybody who's played Killer for even a singular nanosecond would know that this perk essentially cannot be countered in many scenarios by most killers, especially against a team that is even the slightest bit coordinated. Now let's take a look at a tweet rightfully complaining about this totally broken perk and the replies they got responding to it. The tweet reads, "Down a survivor, leave for 6 seconds to put pressure on other survivors, down survivor just gets up and leaves. Utterly insane that Conviction wasn't given more downsides or activation requirements." And here's the video.
Wait, what? Bro. That's actually insane.
Now let's see how the community responded to this clearly unbalanced new perk. I'm sure the feedback will be very thoughtful and constructive. Don't slug, dumbass! Just get better. You can counter it by picking up. Stop crying.
Or you could just pick them up, I don't know.
Try not slugging, gamer.
Why not just pick up?
Don't slug, then it's pretty easy to understand. Also, kinda what you get for playing an AI killer.
So like the comparison I made before, what if there was a killer equivalent, right? Like it was like a blood favor that couldn't be cleansed, and every time a survivor got hit, it would block all pallets and windows, because, you know, survivors don't like that at all. They don't like when you can't pre-drop and hold forward. So what if there was a perk that did that, right? That blocked everything, right? It was like cruel limits, but like it worked like blood favor, and it couldn't be cleansed, it couldn't be stopped. And in every hit, it was an activation. It was like cruel limits, but like it worked like blood favor, and it couldn't be cleansed, it couldn't be stopped. And in every hit, it was an activation. And you know what would be funny? The killer equivalent to this would be just don't get hit. Just get better. Stop getting hit. Stop taking M1s. Just stop taking damage. Just do better. Why are you getting hit? Why are you going down? Get better. And you know what's funny is that when we presented on the other end, it sounds ridiculous, right? But for some reason, these moronic survivor players right here that you see in these tweets are bitching and complaining because you're trying to utilize like a strategy to pressure other survivors. The survivor was on the ground for 7 seconds. 7 seconds. 7. They were literally walked over, put a guard down, and then just went back to go pick them up, to apply more pressure, to play strategically. And honestly, this is what I talked about in the past. Why is a killer player a villain for, like, you know, in like a well, better, why is a killer player shamed, insulted, criticized for just trying to utilize strategies and trying to win their game when survivors are trying to win their games? I've made this point many times. I don't understand where that comes from. I don't understand why there's a morality tied to that. When both sides are trying to win the game, but for some reason one can't do that. For some reasons, killers have to sit there and be the party clown and just lose all day long, and they're supposed to be you know, farmed for clips and stuff like that for their TikTok compilations. And it's like, why can't the killer also play for fun themselves? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And it goes to show, like, it's a topic I've spoken about many times. If you want to watch those topics, they're on the channel. Like, the game should be, you know, the power role should be where the game's focus should be, which is the killers. It should be scary to go against killers. It shouldn't be like you're just going around and just like you get to bully them. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But regardless, do you know how ridiculous this sounds? Like, talk about some just pick up. Like, they can literally pick themselves up in less than 7 seconds, but apparently it's because you're slugging. It just makes no sense to me. Like, it really doesn't.
Just pick up.
Conviction is not a problem. Just don't leave survivors on the ground for too long.
They said for too long. That was 7 seconds. 7. God damn. Like, 7 seconds, bro? Like, come on, bro.
Maybe, oh, I don't know, don't slug?
Maybe don't slug. Picking them up ruins the perk. Just don't slug. 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 So yeah, the gaslighting here is seriously unbelievable, and it's also news to me that leaving somebody on the ground for just 6 seconds now constitutes as slugging. I swear, it's almost as if the people saying this stuff have never actually played a single match of Killer in their lives, yet feel they have some sort of intellectual authority in discussions of balance with.
That's the thing that I want to touch on, is that you'll have the survivor mains that will go around and say, oh, Killer is so easy, when they've only played 2 matches in the span of 2 months. They like, it's as if we have to consciously ignore the fact that MMR exists. People that have played Killer consistently are going to be going against stronger opponents, especially if they're trying to win their games. There are many players that actively just do not play to win, and maybe they lose a lot more often than they do, and their MMR stays at a relatively average MMR. But even if you're like a casual as well, you usually have to lose to stay within that bracket. It works the same way if you load up a survivor for the first time. You're going to be going against newer players. You're going to have newer players on your team. But for some reason, this is such a foreign concept to them. They have to throw out all logic to even make this work in the first place. Because they think from their very specific anecdotal evidence that, oh, that's just how it is. It's just so easy. It's like, it's only easy because the players you're going up against are also beginners at the mode you're playing. If you're gonna play a Killer and you're a beginner, you're gonna go against other beginners. That's just how MMR works.
Totally lacking the perspective of one whole half of the game, because anybody with just a couple of matches played on Killer would know that just pick up and just don't slug are not proper solutions to the situations this perk presents. In a game where pallet saves, flashlights, flashbangs, and perks like background player, last stand, and head on exist, you can't just instantly pick up every survivor you down all the time, because there's a very high likelihood that they'll just get saved by a teammate. And even if you spend a few seconds of your time looking for anybody nearby to prevent the potential save, the person you just down can just get up and run away with endurance. This is a guaranteed lose-lose situation no matter which way you cut it, and ultimately it's just the result of poor game design by a team of people who do not understand their own game at all. Now let's talk.
I'm glad that QuietKills was able to break it down for us, because I wouldn't have been able to give the absolute concise example that he's able to give us, which is fantastic. That is the best way to describe it. You're not gonna win either way. You take a massive L with whatever decision you make. If you leave them on the ground, they're gonna start bitching or whatever have you, but now they have a perk that instantly picks them up. And then if you do pick them up, they have a perk that can stun you from just falling from above you, or they have a flashlight, or they have a flashbang, or they have another perk that stuns. And it's like, so either I lose all my pressure by doing nothing, or I lose all my pressure by doing something. Makes no sense.
About behavior and their handling of the recently bugged perk Streetwise, which has been exploding on social media recently. Streetwise is a survivor perk that was recently bugged, enabling players to have infinite charges on their items, granting them the ability to complete generators twice as fast as usual with infinite toolbox charges. And instead of kill switching the perk like they've done with many other perks, characters, items, maps, and cosmetics in the past, they for some reason outright refused to address it and were instead saying it wasn't game breaking enough to fix at the moment. A member of the behavior team then came out and said they aren't kill switching it because there are worse bugs in the game right now, so why bother addressing this one? They then,
to be honest, I don't know what's worse than something quite literally giving an unfair advantage, but then again, this is the same development team that has not kill switched things in the past, so we're also giving unfair advantages to the Killer side as well. We had Merciless Storm that was literally decreasing progress to the gens by hitting the skill checks, and that was never kill switched, and yet we have yet another perk that does the same thing, and that also wasn't kill switch. So they are consistent in how inconsistent that their kill switching is. I give them that. And then they say, what I'm saying is that we'd have to kill switch 8 things right now that also fall into Streetwise's bug category, and that's not a thing we're going to do. So you're gonna tell me there was 8 other bugs that also were giving unfair advantages and doing other crazy, ridiculous things? It's not a good way. This is not a good way to respond to the community. It's very arguably unprofessional and very, I don't know if it's like, it's very tone deaf. I wouldn't say insensitive, but it's very tone deaf to how their game is looking right now.
and said that if they kill switch Streetwise, they'd actually have to do their jobs and kill switch about 8 other broken things that also fit into Streetwise's bug category. Because, you know, God forbid they have to fix the broken product they're selling you. I mean, bro, saying this is like saying, well, if I clean this pile of shit I took on the floor, then I'd have to clean up all the other piles of shit I took on the floor too. When the real question is...
That's a valid point, QuietKills, bro. That is an extremely valid point. That is I didn't even think about that perspective, but that's an extremely true point. If like just to sit there and say that I have to I have to work and fix everything else is absolutely insane.
Why is there shit on the floor in the first place? Now, despite the community absolutely losing their shit across different social media platforms by this point, instead of actually attempting to defuse the outrage, they instead took to Discord to announce that community sentiment and community feedback are not kill switch criteria, and claimed that they only kill switch things that make the game unplayable, which is just a huge slap to the face of their own player base, and quite possibly the worst thing they could have said in this situation. It didn't help that this claim was also a blatant lie, considering they've kill switched many things in the past that didn't break the game, such as a sweater cosmetic that silenced a survivor's grunting noises while injured, Houndmaster for a bug that made her 150% faster, Nemesis for a bug he had would play with your food, Skull Merchant for a bug she had with one of her add-ons to perform actions faster, and so on. They claimed the kill switch was a nuclear option and not a fix, and that barely anybody was even using it, which was a lie, nor is it the worst bug they even have at the moment. Therefore, we're actually all just overreacting and blowing this whole thing out of proportion. Thanks for clearing everything up, behavior. And so after all the outrage and backlash finally reached its absolute boiling point, they then backpedaled on everything they said previously, apologized, and kill switched not just Streetwise, but a couple of other bug perks as well. And all it took was the entire community melting down and protesting against them online. Wow, what a receptive company. I think they deserve the Labor of Love award after this one. Look.
So my question is, why the heck does it require the entire community to blow up and have a meltdown just so that we can get some goddamn changes in this game? I really don't understand that. Like, you would think that they would actually care enough about their community and their game to actually make changes, or at the very least, like I've even said before, I tried to give them credit, right? I tried to at least cut them some slack and go, hey, you know what? If they were to just kill switch things, regardless of it being bugged or not, it at least gives off the appearance that they actually do care. From a business perspective, at least everyone will at least look at it and go, hey, you know what? The game is bugged, but at least they're trying prevent the damages from spreading or causing more problems across the community, to even prevent the uproar and to prevent the controversy in the first place by just preventing the things from being used that are causing the bugs in the first place. And I've seen people say that it's not going to solve the problem, but ultimately it's not to solve the problem, it's to prevent it from getting worse. It's to contain it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like an outbreak of bugs and you just want to like at least trap it so that it doesn't get worse. That is the main point.
All jokes aside, I don't know about you, but reading these messages and seeing how poorly the devs treated this whole situation explains everything. These might be some of the most tone-deaf, patronizing, and unprofessional responses to community feedback I have ever seen from a gaming company. This smug indifference to their own incompetence is truly amazing to watch unfold, and the gaslighting is next level. With this mentality, it really is no wonder how so many horribly designed things have made it into the game despite the clear flaws and imbalances in their design. If they can't even detect a problem with items having infinite charges and don't consider that as being problematic enough to kill switch, how could they possibly detect the problems in things like the new clown changes, new perks like Conviction and Last Stand, or the severity of and sheer number of bugs within their own game? Companies cultivate culture, and I think a culture of gaslighting and an attitude of dismissiveness is currently plaguing the DBD community, and it's one that's been cultivated by behavior themselves. And when you refuse to hear out fellow players or the consumers of your own product, you start to lose touch with the community as a whole and isolate yourself in an echo chamber. I think it's clear now more than ever that behavior views their player base as a revenue source rather than a community whose feedback should shape development priorities. And as long as their art department is shitting out new reskin cosmetics every couple of weeks and new licensed characters are being brought to the game with every chapter, the actual health and functionality of the game itself can be put on the back burner.
The part that kind of blows my mind with the ridiculousness of this type of game right now is the fact that if they were to just, oh, I don't know, like give people what they want in that kind of sense, where actually they consider the community, you know, that is keeping their game alive, you know, to actually, oh, I don't know, you know, address the problems that are the glaring issues, not the complaining, not the bullshit, but the actual issues with the game, like how Last Stand was, like how the numerous amount of bugs that they've got going on. I think that they would in turn get a much better return in their revenue. I would argue, you know what I mean? I would say that having a good public perception would probably add to them getting more revenue in their pockets. But for whatever reason that we've seen with a lot of these big names and corporations and things like that, they like to not give people what they want and then expect to receive payment. And it doesn't make any sense. It's like the exact inverse of how a business works. If you give people what they want, they pay for it, and that's just how that works. I really don't understand why all of a sudden, like, we're doing the inverse, or we're going to berate the people that like the product, are going to be incredibly smug, as QuietKills is saying, and actively just deny the fact that these are even problems in the first place. And even the community also reflects that as well. There's a bunch of there's a lot of people that are also trying to gaslight other killer players, or trying to gaslight other survivor players, or whatever have you. Everybody's trying to gaslight each other, when this game in itself is what brought us together, and then everybody's trying to cannibalize each other with this us versus them narratives and things like that. And obviously with the gaslighting that goes on from delusional survivor players. That's not all, but that's the few that are stating these ridiculous statements and stuff like that. And obviously even furthermore when it comes down to the devs themselves creating the culture, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Because it's not really about prioritizing player experience, it's about making money. Look guys, I know times may be tough right now, but in the wise words of Matthew Cote, the game director of Dead by Daylight himself,
change it up. Maybe you're just tired, you know, or play something else for a week. Try Civilization or something, just for a refreshing change. Balance is, I shouldn't be saying that.
So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, subscribe while you're down there. Check out the description to watch QuietKills. You can also support the channel with the links in the description as well. I would also say consider supporting the channel. Follow on TikTok and Twitch to watch me play Killer live on Twitch, of course. Consider subscribing for more content like this. I'll see you guys in the next video.